you for starting your day. The K. Did any three? You've got three experienced news anchors, and Asha is our technical director today. She's like, "Go," and we're like,
I know.
at least we're respectful.
Here we go.
But is it better in our line of work to actually?
Oh, we're on.
Is it better to all be quiet or all talk over each other?
Be quiet.
What's more of a faux pas? Anyway.
You be quiet.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us here on a Monday morning on Guam. Jason Salas, Chris Barnett, Sabrina Salas Matanani. It was a long weekend for us, but we had a lot of stuff that we were covering, and I guess I'll go ahead and start. Because Saturday, our digital team was over. Actually, our entire team. We were at the
UGM.
At the United Guam Marathon Expo. That was super fun. We made a lot of new friends.
Took a lot of dancing videos. So
specifically boomerangs, not just videos, but
they should be on KUM Communications. You should follow them.
Yeah, there are many videos.
There's over 4,000 runners from a bunch of different countries came out, and you know the UGM is always just it's Guam, pretty much Guam's signature distance run. So I want to shout out our Gorilla Run team buddies, and of course Custom Fitness. A bunch of them ran the race. You know,
I saw some of them came by our booth and they're like, "Are you running?" And I'm like, "No."
Rhea and I were kind of like, nobody mentioned it, so we just were like, "Don't mention it."
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. And then actually Ken and Asha and I were there on race day, and we went around and we did like a live stream. We talked to so many people. We talked to former Olympian Marie Benito. We talked to Billy Navarrete, who's Guam's Ninja Warrior. Super fun. Who else did we do? We talked to the MMA heavyweight champ Rocky Martinez, who was sharing a few words just about, you know, he's like, hey, like a lot of MMA guys are like, you know, running's like what. We talked to so many athletes. JJ Ambrose, they were all saying running is so critical to building up endurance, but they all agreed that they were like, it's so much more of a mental thing than it is physical.
Right. And we also met when we were going to the festival some people that flew in from Japan, and it was actually their first time coming to Guam to run in the race. I think her husband may have been military, but her main concern was the heat and whether or not, you know, she would be able to survive, because I guess it's a lot cooler in Japan.
That's when you and I were standing up at the lobby, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, waiting to grab a sandwich. Okay, so speaking of which, if you ran in the United Guam Marathon, congratulations to you, first of all, for finishing. That's a major accomplishment. You probably burned, like, what, 6,000, 8,000 calories, depending on what you did. We have a lot of calories here today because the elephant in the room, what we have not addressed it yet, and it's too bad that we don't have smell-o-vision here on Facebook Live, because the entire studio is filled with the wonderful smell of these little darlings. We have an entire batch of peanut butter and chocolate cupcakes made by our very own Sabrina. And what was the whole motivation behind you making these for us, specifically for me?
Somebody is supposed to hook me up with Game of Thrones and figure out how I can watch it, because all this time I thought it was on Netflix.
Oh, that's right. Game of Thrones is tonight. Gee, I think a couple people have mentioned that online.
Yeah, so.
Just a couple.
Yeah, and tell everybody, because you were actually late to the bandwagon with this whole pop culture craze as far as that show and everything, but you watched 7 seasons in like 4 days.
Right, I was on vacation.
That is crazy.
Vegas, and I just kind of like, my parents' TV had it on Game of Thrones, and I was like, oh, let me just watch this, and then I could not stop watching.
Okay, I'm gonna give her like the best, yeah, and I promised her, it's the least I can do for making these are amazing. I'm speechless. How often does that happen?
I'm gonna wait till Boca Box isn't watching though.
Okay, what's in? I mean, we'll get to like the serious news of the day.
Chocolate cake and peanut butter.
Chocolate cake for breakfast.
Are they Reese peanut butter?
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh man, these are so good.
Not cups. The little.
Am I gonna be the only one who's gluttonous here? Come on, guys.
Reese's peanut butter.
So this is a new tradition, I guess. Every morning meeting on Monday, we're gonna bring a dish.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. Look at that. There it is.
All right, let's get on to some serious news now. So, some of the things we're working on for this week today, I know Chief of Police Steve Ignacio, his confirmation hearings tomorrow, I believe, and then Esther Agagi. It's going to be, both I think are going to be really interesting.
Really interesting, because there's been a lot of questions that have come up, both on the grid and off the grid with both of these nominees. And, you know, we've seen the administration nominate people and then pull back those nominations. And there was a speed bump in Chief Ignacio's nomination that for some reason senators weren't able to really talk about, you know, and trying to hunt this story down, which we never really got a hold of, because apparently it's got something to do with the medical records.
Right, HIPAA violations or something like that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. And then, of course, you've been covering Esther Esther's nomination. So
Right. And this is pretty crazy.
Colonel
because
Esther Aggie, of course.
Yeah, so, there was an anonymous letter that went out to all the media, and they were basically, saying that if you look at the law uses this term promotable, which, you know, we asked Major Joe about it, and she said that, yeah, the Guard doesn't really use, that term, but I keep getting, you know, tips about this, but the funny thing is like, all these people in the Guard, you know, whether or not they're actively serving, I mean, obviously there's a whole chain of command, and if you're in the Guard, then you can't really, go to the media and stuff, so a lot of these people are handcuffed, and I'm not sure how much of it is, people bring up the fact that, it's an old Guard, it's an old boys club of the Guard, and, you know, they're just not happy with Esther, you know, Colonel Agagi, because she's a woman, and, you know, the way she was promoted, so I don't know, I mean.
Which is preposterous, because if you look at down like at NAVFAC, the last two of the last three commanders have been female, including Shoshana Chatfield and
Right.
her predecessor right now was actually the first female diver in the U.S. Navy. And I you know, when we were covering the State of the Island address, by the way, speaking of Guard, the only thing I'm going to guard this morning are these cupcakes, because these are insane, Bree, so just want to throw it in there. But when we were covering the State of the Island address last week, you know, we got to see like a lot of the military officers in their formal dress blues, their Class A's, as it's, you know, typically called, and we saw the Command Sergeant Major of the Guam Guard and Colonel Agagi. And being a guy who's like a little bit of a military geek, you know, like I was in ROTC and so many of my uncles were in the military, to actually see the ribbons and the, you know, and the service ticks, what they call them, like on the side that shows how many, on your sleeve that show how many years you've been in the military, and the medals, in addition to the rank, she is incredibly qualified. And I mean, she has put in some time. I mean, you don't get those ribbons just by sitting behind a desk.
Right,
and everything.
yeah.
Realistically, though, when these appointments go for confirmation hearing, you're looking at a Democrat majority, so
It's
will they
almost like
be
a
as
rubber
critical?
stamp. I mean, there's only a couple
Yeah.
Democrats who seem
So-
willing to kind of question things, and I mean, we interviewed Senator Regine Bisco-Lee at the State of the Island address talking about the budget, and we posed the question like, "Hey, we've got a Democrat supermajority, Democrat governor. How much scrutiny are we going to see?" And she said, "Oh no, we're going to go down it with our red pen." So we'll see.
Remember in the last administration, a good friend of ours, Chuck Atta, when he could be, because he was acting administrator of the airport.
no, he was the administrator.
No, but I mean, prior to, he was acting for a while. I mean, the whole process of like when you're nominated and you're acting until you actually get there, it's crazy. Like how we can go from like, okay, acting police chief, acting, you know, like hospital administrator, whatever. It's nuts.
Okay, well, the other story that we're working on also is there was a big arrest over the weekend. Paul Santos Malfinas Jr., he was arrested for the kidnapping that occurred in Tamuning behind the Docomo Pacific building last Thursday. They found the little girl about a half an hour later up at Tamuning Elementary, but really what was just so saddening was the fact that you learned that he was actually a level 1 sex offender, and he was convicted in 1999 for almost similar crimes for criminal sexual conduct, first degree, second degree, and kidnapping. And those victims ranged from ages 13 to 18, and there were 4. So from 1999 to 2009, I really would like to look at the court hearing.
But thank you guys. When we put that story on our Facebook, on our timeline and everything, everybody shared it when the police were still looking
Right.
for the perpetrator and everything. So
That was
good on-
Saturday morning, and then
yeah.
Saturday night. They
Good on you guys for helping out. So well done.
effectuated
Good on
arrest.
Bree.
And
Bree.
and good on GPD.
Yeah.
Bree did the perp walk, and she got in the guy's face. So
Just,
For people I mean, that's an experience that's completely unique to us as media, right? But when you go down and you're actually, you know, seeing the police take out a perpetrator of the car, and you're standing there like literally feet from them and everything like that. What is that like when you're shooting that, when you're trying to get like possibly like an interview or just reaction? What goes through your mind?
I just need to make sure I get the shot, and then I just want to ask a question, like, you know, do you have a comment?
Mhm.
That's
It's a very intense atmosphere, definitely.
one of the things we were talking about this morning was the follow-up that we get from the courts with like the probation and the parole. And I mean, you see it all the time. You see these guys are out on felony release, you know, committing felonies. People who are out on pretrial, guys like Derek Waza Hills who continually violate their pretrial release conditions. And then, you know, with the sex offender registry, I had a personal case where I had called to get more information, and in calling the courts, they weren't even helpful. They were asking me how did I know the information about the guy who was listed on the registry. So, I mean, I know that the purpose of the registry is to alert people, but maybe that's something we need to look into too, and how current it is, and if people really know, maybe they need to publicize it. Because I mean, if this guy is on the registry and he's living in that area, do people even know?
Yeah. Well, this guy, I believe he's living in Mingilao, so he traveled to Tamuning, and even the little girl, it's just so sad. So, but the other story also that the police department's asking for the community's help is the 2 armed robberies that occurred. The first one in Tamuning, a guy was walking to work near the Baltej building, and a car rolls up on him. Somebody jumps out, pulls out a gun, asks him for money, and then takes off. And then 2 hours later, at about 5, I believe, at the Barragata Shell gas station at the tri-intersection, a guy with a hoodie, he goes in and he demands money from the cashier, and the employees were so scared they ran out. So if you have any information about either of those crimes, the complete story is on our social media platforms, but if you have any information, please call Guam Crime Stoppers, 477-4357.
And what was also interesting is some of the people that they immediately jumped to the comment thread right after you put that story up so we had the kidnapping perpetrator and then those 2 armed robberies like you just talked about. People were already putting in comments, and they were like, didn't Lulian Guerrero just say that Guam is like super safe? So people are paying attention, and they're holding leaders accountable.
I interviewed her Friday, so we had
that's right.
Yeah.
We had
and people are like, what's up with that?
A 20-minute sit down, and one of the things she said in the first 100 days, she was going to have 2 policemen stationed at each mayor's office. Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon. She had said that, we have people going through the academy, so I'm not sure how immediate. And obviously, with these, the increased visibility, patrols, these armed robberies, I mean, we need to get more officers.
Which is hopefully enlightening, because every week when we do Crime Time right here on Facebook on Wednesdays, GPD always tells us we need more officers. Yes. Our budget needs to go up because what was it, 343
or 464?
Yeah, they basically said like go to
4 officers patrolling at any given moment.
Yeah, for every precinct
that are at the precinct.
And this was a huge part of the Lou and Josh campaign, as they talked about public safety
and drugs
and transparency and a whole bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah, and you're still waiting for answers.
It's crazy.
Your transition report story.
Yeah, so there's this transition fund that they basically got a bunch of sponsors for the inauguration, paid for the inauguration, then continued accepting donations, which were used to like if you go to the governor. So when I interviewed the governor Friday, I was looking around, like if you go to Adelup, there's like a lot of nice furniture. You can smell the new carpet, and this was all paid for with this transition fund. Which nobody wants to answer questions about. I mean, there's some expenditures on here, $20,000 to the Bank of Guam. And it's funny is you have like certain businesses that donated a certain amount, and then it appears that they were paid back that amount in services. So I don't know if that's a check swap, but they're supposed to turn this report into the legislature. They didn't, and we go back to that Democrat supermajority holding the administration accountable. I just don't have faith that they will. Or they are even. I mean, they turned in the transition report, but they were also supposed to return in the transition fund report that listed the donations, the expenditures. So, senators, if you need that, I got a copy. Could go ahead and send you guys.
Aha. Okay, well, today is very distinct for another. You were mentioning, Game of Thrones, which for so many people, that's like the big thing. But also today is tax day.
Yes.
You should know that. 4/15 should have been marked off on your calendar. And of course, everybody jumps on every single social media platform. There's Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter,
tax
whatever.
Refunds.
And they're like, tax refunds. Okay, You're not going to get your refund unless you get your taxes in. So you have until close of business today to actually get your stuff filed. So we're going to have some information on our social media properties about where you can drop them off if you are a 11th hour filer. So
today's also Jones special, I think, at 6:30 today.
Next week, actually.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah,
next week?
Yeah, tonight is.
There are a couple of public hearings on autism. One is to fund an autism center, and then there's another one. I think Senator Teresa Lahi's bill, so we'll be covering that too.
Yeah, but we are going to run. It is that time of the month where we run our Good Life on our social media, and we're going to run that as a live premiere. So we want to see what you guys have to say about what did we cover last month. We did the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation, the Wine, Food, and Art Festival.
Mamma Mia.
That was a lot of fun.
Mamma Mia was this. I think she might be including Mamma Mia in her Good Life tonight.
Yeah, but there was a lot of stuff that happened in March
over the weekend.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, so that's going to be on YouTube and Facebook, maybe in about an hour, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of fun, okay, I am too in right now. You guys haven't even tried this, so shall we? Can we is it proper like to toast cupcakes? Okay, I know you guys are working out hardcore. You guys owe it to yourselves. You are actually the baker, so you can. Okay.
I'm the baker. So
Let's get this Monday started off right, guys.
So many of these. All right.
Cheers.
Go team.
Cheers.
Yeah, you
Thanks
can
for
actually toast
watching.
cupcakes. This is a thing.
Thanks for starting your day the KUAM way. We're going to eat our cupcakes and get out in the field. So, bye.
See you later.